Good morning, everyone. I'm Riya Sinha, your SST teacher. Today, we are going to start chapter number 8 of Civics, that is Confronting Marginalization. As uh, even in the previous chapter, we have learned a lot of things about marginalization. We have seen the uh, marginalized group of our society, like Adivasis and Muslims, and some other of them. So, in that chapter, we read about two different groups and their experiences of inequality and discrimination. Though powerless, such groups have fought, protested, and struggled against being excluded or dominated by others. They had attempted to overcome their situation by adopting a range of strategies in their long history. Religious solace, armed struggle, self improvement, and education, economic uplift, there appears to be no one way of doing things. In all cases, the choice of struggle has depended on the circumstances that the marginalized find themselves in. So, in this chapter, we will read about some of the ways in which groups and individuals challenge existing inequalities. Adivasis, Dalits, Muslims, women, and other marginal groups argue that simply by being citizens of a democratic country, they possess equal rights that must be respected. Many among them look up to the Constitution to address their concerns. In this chapter, we will see why the Constitution of India is something that marginalized groups invoke in the course of their struggles. So, as part of this, we will look at how rights are translated into laws to protect groups from continued exploitation, and we will also look at the government's efforts to formulate policies to promote the access of these groups to development. So, now let's start the chapter. So, here comes the first topic, that is invoking fundamental rights. The Constitution, as you have learned in the first chapter of this book, lays down the principles that make our society and polity democratic. They are defined in and through the list of fundamental rights that are an important part of the Constitution. These rights are available to all Indians equally. So, as far as the marginalized are concerned, they have drawn on these rights in two ways. First, by insisting on their fundamental rights, they have forced the government to recognize the injustice done to them. And second, they have insisted that the government enforce these laws. In some instances, the struggle of the marginalized have influenced the government to frame new laws in keeping with the spirit of the fundamental rights. See here, basically, some of the rights which are basically concerned with the marginalized group are: first, by insisting on their recognize the injustice done to them, and second, they have insisted that the government enforce these laws. See, Article 17 of the Constitution states that untouchability has been abolished. What this means is that no one can henceforth prevent Dalits from educating themselves, entering temples, using public facilities, etc. It also means that it is wrong to practice untouchability and that this practice will not be tolerated by a democratic government. In fact, untouchability is a punishable crime now. You all have to learn Article 17 and what it mainly concerned for. So there are other sections in the constitution that help to strengthen the argument against untouchability. For example, Article 15 of the Constitution notes that no citizen of India shall be discriminated against on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. So, this has been used by Dalits to seek equality where it has been denied to them. So, you all have to learn the difference between Article 15 and Article 17. So, therefore, Dalits can invoke or draw on a fundamental rights in situations where they feel that they have been treated badly by some individual or community, or even by the government. They have drawn the attention of the government of India to the constitution, demanding that the government abide by it and do justice to them. Likewise, other minority groups have drawn on the fundamental rights section of our constitution. They have particularly drawn upon the right to freedom of religion and cultural and educational rights. In the case of cultural and educational rights, distinct cultural and religious groups like the Muslims and Parsis have the right to be the guardians of the content of their culture, and as well as the right to make decisions on how the best this content is to be preserved. So, thus, by granting different forms of cultural rights, the Constitution tries to ensure cultural justice to such groups. The Constitution this so that the culture of these groups is not dominated nor wiped out by the culture of the majority community. So, these are the things which we have learned in the first topic of this chapter. Now, see the second topic, laws for the marginalized. As we have read, the government makes laws to protect its citizens, yet, this is not the only way in which it takes action. There are specific laws and policies for the marginalized in our country. There are policies or schemes that emerge through other means like setting up a committee or by undertaking a survey, etc. The government then makes an effort to promote such policies in order to give opportunities to specific groups. So, first is promoting social justice. So, as part of their effort to implement the constitution, both state and even central governments create specific schemes for implementation in tribal areas or in areas that have a high Dalit population. For example, the government provides for free or subsidized hostels for students of Dalit and Adivasis communities so that they can avail of education facilities that may not be available in their localities. In addition to providing certain facilities, the government also operates through laws to ensure that concrete steps are taken to and end inequality in the system. One such law or policy is the reservation policy that today is both significant and highly contentious. The laws which reserve seats in education and government employment for Dalits and Adivasis are based on an important argument that in a society like ours, where for centuries sections of the population have been denied opportunities to learn and to work in order to develop new skills or vocations, a democratic government needs to step in and assist these sections. Now, how does the reservation policy work? The main question arises here. Government across India have their own list of scheduled castes or Dalits or scheduled tribes and backward and most backward caste. The central government too has its list. Students applying to educational institutions and those applying for posts in government are expected to furnish proof of their caste or tribe status in the form of caste and tribe certificates. If a particular Dalit caste or a certain tribe is on the government list, then a candidate from that caste or tribe can avail of the benefit of reservation. For admission to colleges, especially to institutes of professional education such as medical colleges, governments define a set of cut-off marks. This means that not all Dalit and tribal candidates can qualify for admission, but only those who have done reasonably well and secured marks above the cutoff point. Governments also offer special scholarships for these students. So basically these kind of reservation provisions are in our society to uplift the marginalized group. In the next class we will continue this topic. Thank you and have a nice day.